Hi guys, and welcome back to another Show on the Buffalo video, and this is the first of a 26 long video series that I'm doing to help newer players find their way around the Pokemon TCG, and not just in regards to playing wise, but each day or each video that I release, will be the next letter of the alphabet. So today we are starting with A for Arcanine. Now, I know obviously a lot of people may have just started the Pokemon game in general and may not have come across Arcanine, but he's in the very first 150 or 151 Pokemon that were ever released. So we're going back to the old days. They're not all going to be Cantonian Pokemon, but this is where we're starting with, and we're starting with an Arcanine deck. Now, with Pokemon, the general thesis is that most decks that were any good would be like £100 over, and I'm here to show that doesn't have to be the case. So, apart from the Jirachis in this deck that go for about between £7 to £10 each, everything else is cheap as chips. Even the GX and the Pokemon V that are in the deck are cheap as anything. So, a deck just about goes over 100 quid at not 100 quid, sorry, 50 pound at max. So the whole idea of this video series is that it's a budget deck series for newer players, as well as seeing a different Pokemon from every different letter of the alphabet. So that's all there is to it, really. So we're going to start out with just showing the deck list. So we've got two different types of Growlithe, because our main aim of the deck is to use this supporter, which is Welder. The main aim is to use it hopefully every single turn to power up our attackers and obviously launch attacks. This doesn't always happen, but because with the loss of Acrobike and things, it is hard to find Welder now, and without there being any draw support Pokemon in the deck like Didane or Crobat, we are likely to miss Welder sometimes, but at the very most, unless you're against Arceus de Agapalkia, your opponent will ever only be taking one prize at a time anyway, majority of the time. Seems out there is only two Pokemon that are worth two prizes, and it's very rare that we put them into play. So we have, to make the Welder engine work, what Welder does, it allows you to attach two energy cards, which immediately breaks the rule of the game. Fire energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon, and then you get to draw 3 cards as well. Whereas usually the game would only allow you to attach 1 energy per turn. Again, just information for new players. To find that energy, we have a count of 12, which is quite high, and 3 Giant Half, which allows you to discard a card and search 2 fire energy cards from your deck to your hand. So again, going back to our attackers, we've got 2 different Growliths, just for variety of things that we may need to use. Odor Sleuth allows you to put Welder back into your hand, should you ever discard it for any reason. We do have different setup cards in this deck. So we're using Professor Oak setup as a secondary supporter, just to get going at the start. Allows you to grab Jirachi Mew and say Volcanions, say if you've already got a Quick Ball for a Growlithe, or vice versa for either of those two, as these are the most important boys to have on your field in the very first turn. This has an attack called Flare Starter. You always want to go second with this deck, to either use this card to attack or to use Welder, either or both preferably. So we have 2 different types of Arcanine. The main one that we're using is this one. So this is a 1 prize card attacker, and obviously 130 HP is a normal amount for a 1 prize card attacker. But its ability warming up says that if you've got a Burning Scarf attached to it, it gets an additional 100 HP. So we are playing the Burning Scarf line because it's, again, a budget deck, and that's the whole point of this. But Burning Scarf says that if the fire Pokemon this card's attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an opponent's attack, they are immediately burned, which is good because then they're either consistently taking burn damage every turn, or they are forced to switch out the active to get rid of the burn. It allows you to basically overall attempt to take 1-hit knockouts. That's the sort of idea behind it. So that's all from well, and then the fourth and final Arcanine is just something with a little bit more beef in its behind its engine, does a little bit more damage, and then this one also keeps you, or allows you to consistently keep energy in play with the attack Grand Flame. I think realistically, if you don't know anything about the cards, again, this is the most expensive card in the deck, so if you do try to make this deck in real life, this is the only thing that you'll really have to put money towards. Everything else is like cheap as chips. This is just to prevent the Pikarom matchup being ridiculously hard, because as your main bonus to this deck is that your attackers are generally one prizes, whereas Pikarom have the ability to take more than one prize at a time, and then Mew mitigates that problem. We have a Heatran in the deck, which with its ability Burning Road allows you to attach all of the fire energies that you have in play to itself when it's made active, or when it's pushed to be active. It doesn't work, again, for new players. If you promote it after your opponent's taken a knockout on one of your Pokemon, if you promote it to your active Pokemon for the start of your turn, that will not trigger Burning Road. You have to trigger it through it becoming the active Pokemon via scooping up one of your Pokemon or switching into one of your Pokemon. Or indeed retreating into one of your Pokemon as well, but you don't want to really lose the energy for it. This allows you to copy other people's attacks and has a relatively beefy attack as well in itself. Pokegears are a consistency card to help you find Welder, gets a look at top 7, finds a supporter, and it's your hand, shuffle the rest back into the deck. This is for recycling your attackers, because sometimes you'll be low on attackers because it's hard enough as it is to keep going with stage 1 Pokemon, because they're not all basics like a usual Welderbox would be, but a usual Welderbox would be a lot more expensive than this. And again, the whole reason behind this series of videos is that they are budget decks. So we are going to put away the deck list now, and we'll see you for a couple of games. See you in a minute. So we are in for our first game against a friend of mine who's also playing a one prize card deck, and we're just going to see how these fare up against each other. We would not like to go first. And this is an energy denial deck. So energy counts are going to prove to be quite the difficult one in this matchup. His Seeking is coupled with the Arcazalt, which when played from the hand, when it's in play, any energies that you attach to your Pokemon do 20 damage to yourself. So we are going to Welder here, and not find much else, unfortunately. All I would have liked is a Giant Heart to get going. But it's like we don't play them. So we'll pass turn there. And we get Marnied out of all our Welders, which is infuriating. And will this Crushing Hammer hit? Thank God. Will this one miss as well, hopefully? Damn. So we finally find ourselves a Giant Heart, which is good. We have Scoop Up Nets to use and such, so We'll shuffle the deck a bit more in advance. Put this, and Stellar Wish again. I think we will get rid of one of these first though, just to get some more energy out the deck. And now we are looking for another welder. So we know we have enough enough energies in deck and enough Drachis, so we're just going to thin out another Drachi just to work through. And all we want is the welder. We'll take this, just so it allows us to set up a little bit more. So if we don't find a welder, which it's not looking like this turn, we're just going to play this. We'll get one of these, and sure, why not? And we'll Stellar Wish again, and we'll keep that for next turn. The likelihood of him having a third Crushing Hammer in his hand off that morning to 5 cards is very unlikely, so we'll just attach that. Right then. So we have our welder, and now we can finally start attacking. Which is good. Probably take, I think it's 20 damage per each one. Yep. Use Walk Assault effect. And we'll return that to the hand. We're not going to attach this, it allows us to welder again next turn. And we'll just fire main for 130. Which thankfully is the same amount of health that the Oxazor has as well. Does my opponent have another Marnie in hand? It seems he is dead drawing, finally. So we are going to weld it onto this card and start our second Arcanine off. And I think, as we are down 2 energy, we'll recover them. And then we'll also put the welder on top as well. The whole point of this Mewtwo is just so we can reuse welders. So it's basically budget decks versus budget decks, essentially, and allows players to get a grasp of the game via different mechanics, different Pokemon, how useful they can be. It seems, unfortunately, that my opponent hasn't drawn very well and doesn't have any more basics, and that, yeah, that seems to be the case. So we'll take our first knockout and last knockout on first win with this deck, and we will make it a best of 3 series. This seems, unfortunately, to happen to my friend quite a lot, where he just doesn't seem to see many basics against me. I don't know why that is, but hopefully this time it'll be different. So we'll ask him if he wants to go first or second. So he wants to go first, so I will opt for no. That is fine with me. I would always prefer to go second with a welder deck. I can't remember what set it's from, but I'm not sure if it'd work in your deck. I'm not sure if it'd work in his deck. I'll just type that to him. Yeah, the Professor Oak setup has been used as a secondary supporter in case of missing the welder. The only downside to Professor Oak setup is the 3 Pokemon that you get from it have to all be different types, so it's not useful in every deck. So we have plenty of things, but no things to welder to. So it's going to be quite a slow game, unfortunately, and I wouldn't like the ability, my opponents have the ability to set up as fast as he's probably going to. All I would like in this instance is a quick ball. Oh yeah. Well, we have Pokemon, at least. So that's something. And we have 3 Pokegears in hand to attempt to get some things next turn. So we'll grab these 3. And I'm going to pass. It's better to keep the fire in hand because Welder is not a live card if you do not have a Fire Energy in your hand. Excuse me. So, we top deck a fire, which is brilliant because it means we don't have to find a giant half. Here we will grab another Pokegear, because all we need is 1 welder and then another energy off that welder. There's 1 missed Pokegear. Let's go for seconds. There we go. And yeah, all we're after off this draw is, well, we need Arcanine as well, obviously. Which we get, and the energy, which we get, and put that there, and we'll leave everything else in hand, and we'll just fire main for knockout. There's another welder, that's why it took so long to find them. If we prize one. Just trying to look for 3 cards in a, what was it at the time, a 40 card deck. Makes things rather difficult. But we have left ourselves at the mercy of Energy Dial. And with any luck, he'll flip all 3 tiles, although that is very unlikely. Well, we still have an energy, so if we can... Oh, well, that's all we needed. I was going to say, if we can top deck Giant Half, then we win. So... Given the well played. Oh, nearly only clicked one of them then. What's going on? There we go. And once again, unfortunately, a lack of basics was not helping his case. But it shows that when it comes to budget decks, this can definitely do what it was made for. So we will now get into some of the ladder matches. So it's time for ladder match time. And we have the Volcanion, which is good. We have Welders, which is good. Unfortunately, we are going to have to give up one of our Burning Scarfs here, or our top deck. Kinda should have played a reset stamp or two in this deck. Going second also allows for the opponent not being able to do a turn 2 Altered Creation. This is the deck that this deck will definitely, without a doubt, struggle to beat. So we'll put this down. We are going to lose our Burning Scarf. We'll get ourselves a Growler. And we'll Welder 2 to the active. Because our opponent's not going to be attacking this next turn either. We won't attach just because we've got the Poker Gear in hand. We will just Flare Starter. And put 1 on the Volcanion, so it only needs one more attachment to attack next turn, and 2 on the Growlithe, which we know attacks with 3 energy, so that will only take 1 attack next turn as well. My opponent very likely to research or Dedenne here. And these decks just have so many ways to draw cards that it makes it very, very hard to beat them. But they have lost 2 of their boss orders. So if they miss an opportunity to switch, which they're obviously now going to go for the Crobat as well. Like, this deck is a bit lopsided in regards to whether it does actually need banning or not, because it's fairly powerful against all of the meta, but it just so happens that it is ridiculously over the top powerful against one prize card decks like this, where it shows that my opponent just get nothing off absolutely nothing. Well, thankfully he missed somehow. I don't know how, but my opponent just scooped because he missed the Altered Creation. He knew I was going to knock out his Zacian, because obviously the thing about Zacian is it's got 220 health, and my Volcanion that turn was then hitting for 110 times 2 for weakness, which was 120. So we have our first ladder win with our budget Arcanine. And we will see if we can get another good matchup. Well, that was a bad matchup, but see you in the next one anyway. So after our 2-0 win against the Seeking deck and a very surprising victory against an ADP deck, we are now on to our second match of the ladder. And we are going second again, thankfully. and we're against Eternatus. Now, this is dubbed, or supposed, second best deck of the format. So, as we've just beat potentially the best deck of the format. Well, they beat themselves because they missed their switch card somehow. Don't know how that happened. But my opponent very graciously put an Viridian Forest in play for us. It's going to help us quite a lot. And I think we will get rid of the Scoop Up Net. Get another fire. Going to weld a tutor here, as we have the additional one for our attachment to the Volcanion. And we're just going to spread our energies about, I think. Because with any luck, we could possibly find our Heatran. Yeah, we'll put one here. Because my opponent's got 4 cards in hand. He's down 1 Crobat. So the likelihood of him having Air Balloon and or Switch, and then the energy for Eternatus and the boss's orders as well, is very, very unlikely. I suppose he didn't want to discard that for whatever reason. Might have been a second Crobat. And we don't play any boss swords in this deck, unfortunately. But we do finally have the Arcanine. And I think we are just going to weld onto the active. And we'll put one of these in play. Discarding... Not sure what to discard here. Probably the Switch. And we will finally get ourselves a Drachi in play. As we'll need some sort of consistency booster throughout this game. This is going to be a supremely long game. Well, high heat blast for 110 damage, which is nothing to be sniffed at. It's for a 1 prize card attacker, it's got 120 HP. My opponent definitely going for another Crobat here. Clearly very upset about the Arcanine that's on the back, and definitely is thinking about getting rid of that. Has he just got rid of the boss orders? He does. He did. I don't know why. And Amani for us is absolutely brilliant there, because we've got the Giant Harp in play. We have a Drachi on the bench to protect us from things like this. And we even got the Welder and a Switch and something to discard off Giant Half. So it does have a backup Eternatus, which is not fun. And we will get rid of the Drachi, get some more energies. And realistically here, all I'm looking for is a quick fall, which we do find. So, we do actually get the knockout on this Eternatus, I'm pretty sure. It's going to cut at the cost of a lot of our energies, unfortunately. So we'll get rid of that. Sorry, I'm getting attacked by a moth for no reason apparently. And we do have the Heatran in play. Or in deck, sorry. Over the 2. Put this here as well. And we will switch into the into this, and we'll grab off the new. That's 2, and 4 is 7, which is 7 times 5 is 350, and that's enough. So we get to leave one on the Arcanine, thankfully. And I guess that's a mighty nice Hot Burn GX on our lovely Eternatus. So, just make it known that my opponent is not safe. We have Ordinary Rod to get energy back. This is going to take ages to get rid of, unfortunately. And if he gets an attachment here as well, well, there goes our hand. But our budget deck's looking pretty well, I'd say. Or do we just discard the Danger Straw? Another Eternatus maybe, or an Optigy, I'm not too sure. So, now we're forced to find a lot of things. First we'll Stellar Wish here, and we'll get the poke here. And we are unfortunately going to have to take a turn off. And yeah, getting Oaks set up, I'm pretty sure. Another Growler, and another Jirachi. Indeed. We don't have enough energy in the deck to keep this going, unfortunately. We've got a very good knockout on the Eternatus, but I think that's where our win streak is finally going to come to an end. We need to play Fire Crystal on this deck, I think. So if there be an improvement to this deck, it'd be to add some Fire Crystals into it. But again, this is the deck that we're currently against. Is meant to be the first or second best deck in the format, and we took an extremely early lead by immediately one-shotting an Eternatus. So I can't say much fairer than that for a deck that's like 50 quid or less. This would cost to make in real life, not even that, and cost it even less to actually make online. But I know full well that we have no energies to work with here. Unfortunately, we went through them really quickly. And I think we actually prized 2 as well, I'm pretty sure, because there's meant to be 12 on the deck, but not really a whole lot that can be done about that. We will double check, but I'm pretty sure we prized 2. So get rid of this. And yeah, we priced 2. So our game is at an end, unfortunately. But yeah, can't really say much more than that. This deck can perform well. The idea is to obviously welder as many turns as possible, successfully in a row, that is. So we'll go just back into the deck manager and take another quick look at the deck list. So what would have changed about this deck? Well, Pikarom's not really in favour anymore, so potentially this could come out. and as the aim is to welder every turn, we could cut this, and then with those 2 spaces, all I'd add to it would be these. So this is Fire Crystal that allows you to recover 3 fire energy cards from your discard pile to your hand. So obviously works really well and has great synergy with Welder, because it gives you the viability of making Welder a live card in your hand all the time. If Welder's in your hand and you have no energy, but you've got a Fire Crystal, it immediately becomes live again. So that's all the changes I'd make to this deck. If we'd had those energies in hand, we could have given our opponent a much better run for their money, but that's all there is to it really. Couldn't really just get out the gates fast enough. I couldn't find these boys fast enough either, unfortunately, so maybe some Pokemon communications needs to go in there somewhere. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so that is all for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. This is the first, as I said before, the first of a 26 video long series of where I'm going to be doing budget decks for every different letter of the alphabet. There is obviously going to be 27 videos, including the one that I uploaded yes, just earlier, just before making this video. So but yeah, so once again, this video series is built for new players, and well, old players as well, I suppose, could enjoy the somewhat competitive viability of decks that cost so little and so cheap, and compared to the decks that they're probably the amount of money that you used to spending on decks. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe just down below. It'd be very much appreciate. Be very good. And if you could like the video and press the bell for on the channel as well, so you can keep up to date with the notifications that are coming up for the next coming videos, that would be absolutely brilliant as well, guys. Peace out, guys. See you soon.